Alright guys, so the 90-degree hold, also known as the bent arm planche, is it's basically a beginner to intermediate calisthenic skill that mainly engages your shoulders and your chest. In order to achieve this exercise, you first want to pass these requirements. Alright guys, so the first exercise or first progression for the 90-degree hold is gonna be, you're gonna hold a bottom of a push-up. So you wanna hold this for at least a solid 20 seconds before moving on to the next progression. And then, yeah. Alright guys, so the second exercise or progression to the 90-degree hold is gonna be pseudo planche push-ups. So in order to do this correctly, you wanna place your feet against the wall just so you don't move anywhere or lean back during the exercise. And you basically wanna work towards pushing through your waist. So in order to actually do this, you can start off a bit lower to your chest area, a bit lower to your belly button, and eventually you'll be pushing through your waistline. So yeah, make sure to also lean forward with your arms straight, just so it can mimic a straight arm plank before you go down. So yeah. Also, you want to do this for 10 reps. Third exercise or progression, you're gonna hold the bottom of a pseudo planche push-up. So basically what you're doing here is you're mimicking a 90-degree hold, but except you're now floating your feet off the air, so it'll be 10 times easier. So you want to work towards this and hold this for at least a solid 15 seconds, and then you can move on to the next progression. Fourth progression is going to be the straddle half lay 90-degree hold. So now that you have built a solid foundation of strength, you should be able to hold this exercise for at least 10 seconds before moving on to the next progression. Fifth progression is going to be the same thing, but except you have your knees together. So you're gonna hold this for 10 seconds. Sixth exercise is gonna be 90-degree toe taps. So basically, you just want to move forward until your hands reach your waistline. But except you'll notice that once you actually got stronger, you'll notice that your feet actually they feel a little bit lighter. So in the beginning, you might tap pretty fast or uncontrolled, but eventually you want to tap them slower and slower and slower until boom, you're holding the 90-degree hold. Repeat this for 10 reps. Moving on to the seventh progression, we're moving on to the straddle 90-degree hold. So basically, you want to separate your legs and yeah, just lean forward until your feet come off the ground. Hold this for 10 seconds. The eighth progression is going to be 90-degree lean raises. So basically, you're just leaning forward until your feet come off the ground, and you want to build this up for 10 repetitions. Ninth progression is going to be an elbow lever to a 90-degree hold. So get to an elbow lever position, you lean forward until your feet come off the ground, and then you want to slide your elbows away from your body to then eventually hold the 90-degree hold. Hold the 90-degree hold for 10 seconds and repeat this for 10 reps. And finally, the 10th progression. Congratulations, you have officially unlocked the 90-degree hold. Build this up to 15 seconds, and then you've completely mastered it. Thank you for watching. If this video educated you, then feel free to subscribe and leave a like or even comment. So yeah guys, that's how to 90-degree hold.